Well, I've been working on this centerpiece that is all bees, and I made it 360 so you can set it in the center of a table. As most as you know, I do table decorations for the full skilled nursing that my mother lives in, so I'll be making actually 3 of these, but here's the one I'm going to be teaching today. And I'm going to do your supply list, which is going to be Dollar Tree, this basket I got from there. That I also noticed that some of them don't have this size, but they have like a garbage can basket, so you could take that and cut it down and then maybe run a little rope around the edge if you can't find this size. Some moss, which I ended up having to get this one at Walmart. Dollar Tree was out. I do like the Dollar Tree moss better. Let's see, the beehive is actually made out of this turned upside down. So a soap pump, and it takes 2 packages of the rope to completely cover it. Oh, I want to mention a little piece of black felt, which is going to be right for that, right there. This tumbling game package from Dollar Tree, you actually only need 1 of these, but I'm sure I'll find other things to do with the rest of them. A fence, Dollar Tree. Ribbon, Dollar Tree. And then some sunflowers, also some baby's breath. Make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Okay, 3 color paints. Okay, 3 color paints. Green, brown, and white. You do not have to use the chalk paint. I just happen to have it. Some yellow and black pipe cleaners to make the bees. Below, I'll put the link because I did a separate tutorial on how to make the bees. And some E6000, a glue gun, and don't forget your extra glue sticks. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do, of course, is take the top off of this soap dispenser. I've started it around the opening right here. I did cut it on an angle so that as I wrap it, it will wrap real nice right past that. It's not going to matter too much because this is going to sit inside the moss. But what I'm going to do is every so often, I'm going to put some hot glue. And then I'm always a little afraid with hot glue and plastic if it's really going to hold. So then I'm going to reinforce it then I'm going to put some E6000. Then I'm going to turn it, put a hot glue, and then I'm going to go on the other side and put some E6000. And I'm going to go across, I'm going to do the whole thing like that so I have that extra security with that E6000. And then I'm going to come to the top here, which is going to be the top of the beehive. It's actually the bottom of the soap dispenser, and wrap it around, take the label off, wrap it around in there, and I'll be back. So when I'm getting ready to add on the second piece of rope, what I like to do, instead of just gluing this and it's cut off flat and then trying to line up the next piece next to it, I like to cut it on a pretty severe angle. And when you do that, and then you cut the other piece that you're lining up with it on an angle, then I'll cut this on an angle real quick so you could see. You can work that angle into the rope. Not the best scissors that I have, but I don't want to use my good ones on this. So then what you'll do is, as that one's, I don't know if you can see, as that one's on an angle and this one's on an angle, you'll glue them one on top of another, and you will actually never even see that that's where you left off and picked up. So this is now complete. I did want to mention on the top, I did do that angle clip on the rope so that it would be thinner as I started getting into the center of it. And also where you had to attach the 2 pieces, I said to be careful and cut it on an angle and all, but we actually can use that where it's connected. We can use that as the hole where the bees are going to come in. So you actually can cover it. I wasn't thinking about that when I said it. So now you've got a piece of rope left over. And to me, to make it this thick as the rope is a little too thick for the size beehive that I have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unravel this has got, I think it's 3 different pieces wrapped in there. And I'm gonna unravel one of the 3. And now I've got a piece to make the circle that's just a little thinner. I think it looks a little more proportioned. And I'm going to glue that together. I'm gonna cut a circle of black felt, and then I'm gonna glue it over where I connected the 2 pieces of rope, and then I'll be back. Before I cut the flowers off the main stem, I made sure that all these green leaves are pushed up towards the top, because that's gonna be our greenery in this. So now I've taken 3 sunflowers, and out of the baby's breath, I've cut off 2 stems, and I've arranged them in like a 360, so you're seeing something on every time you turn it without looking at the back. Now I'm just gonna take a piece of Scotch tape, and I'm just gonna wrap it around here. I don't have floral tape, I used to, but Scotch tape will work. And then once I do that, then I'm going to start trimming it with the ribbon, and I'll be back to show you. Okay, so there's a little bit of Scotch tape that I wrapped around it just to hold it. And if you want to use more flowers than just the 3, you can. I thought 3 was plenty. I didn't want it to be overwhelmed with the flowers. So now take your ribbon that you're going to use, whatever ribbon of your choice, and put some glue on the very top here, and angle the beginning of that ribbon on a pretty severe angle, because as we wrap it, you're gonna need that angle to keep it from not being really tight. So I'm just holding it and twisting it like this. Keep twisting it on an angle. There we go. I'm gonna come down to the bottom. I'm gonna glue it at the bottom, and then I'm gonna make a little bow and put it at the top, and then I might arrange the flowers a little bit better. All right, I have the base all twisted with the ribbon, and I've added a bow, and now it's going to be time to glue that on the side, bringing the flowers kind of close to the top there, but having the cute bow show on one of the sides. So I'm gonna glue that, and then we'll be on to starting some painting. Before I start any painting, I wanted to explain this wood that I'm gonna end up gluing on here is a larger than the top. You can leave it like that if you want to. I liked it where it comes right up to the edge. So what I'm gonna do is, with a pencil, I'm gonna draw around the edge so that I know the size of this circle, and which is that. Did it like that. And I'm going to cut this. Now, I don't have like a saw to cut it with, but I do have like a heavy duty pair of like garden scissors, utility scissors. And on my other one, I did cut it with it. It was a little jagged here and there, but for the most part, it's not gonna matter because we're gonna put the moss on it. So I'm going to cut it and then paint it green so that when we do put the moss on, it has a green base. Here's the utility scissors that I use. They're Fiskars, and they did pretty good with cutting the edge. You can see it's a little jagged, but like I said, the moss is gonna be over it. So I'm gonna peel off the back. It doesn't have to be peeled off, but I'm gonna peel off the back. I'm gonna paint this with this green right here called Clover, whatever is the closest that matches your moss. So I'm gonna paint the top and the edges this green, and then I'll be back. So while I'm waiting for the green paint to dry, I'm going to paint the wood fence. Now this is the Waverly chalk paint. It was from Walmart, and I'm gonna paint both sides, of course, because you saw it was double-sided. And then after I've painted it white, I'm gonna take and I'm gonna roughen it up, rustic it up a little bit with some brown paint on top of it. So I'm just gonna make sure that I get in all the little grooves and all the sections. I'm gonna paint both sides with the white, and then I'll show you how I'm going to make it look like a little more of a beat up fence. Okay, I have to back up. I am so sorry. I forgot one little part to this, but it's not horrible. This is where that little puzzle wood piece that came in the pack, I'm going to glue it on the back here to make a little like easel on it. So when I go to put it on the top of the basket, that I'll have something to brace it on. I'm going to put a dot of E6000 as well as some hot glue so I can start working with it, but that's also going to have to be included in the painting when you go ahead and paint this. Now I just took an old rag and I wet it and I dipped the end of it into the top of the brown paint, and I just started wiping right over the fence to get that more rustic look. And as you see, it does a pretty good job. So just make sure that you've got it pretty wet, because otherwise this comes on too thick. So I did get that little piece glued on the back and painted. And now I'm just going to wet it one more time, dip it in the paint, finish the back, and then we'll move on to the next step. So you can see how that came out. It looks like that. Now, I'm gonna take the green base. By the way, it was a 6.5 inch, in case you're wondering what size this is. And I'm going to E6000 this and hot glue it. And then I am going to E6000 and hot glue the fence on. And then I am going to do the same thing with this little base here and turn it this way. So this is going to be a gluing time now, and it'll be like that. And I'm going to let that sit overnight, especially because of this is not a huge amount of space to depend on that hot glue to continue working on it. So I'm going to do all that gluing and let it dry overnight. Okay, it's the next day and everything's glued, and I'm going to speed things up because this tutorial is getting kind of long. So the only thing that's left to do right now is on top of the green is to add the moss. And of course, the only thing you need to do with that is to put the glue on and stick the moss, and put the glue on and stick the moss, and keep gluing and sticking. This moss is a lot more piecey. It doesn't stick together as well as the Dollar Tree. Like I said, the Dollar Tree I like better. And then it's time to stick our bumblebees around wherever you want. I'm going to put one on top here, one on the side. I'm going to put one inside on the back here after I put the grass on, the moss on. And then I'm going to put one inside and a couple outside. And also I'm going to glue the moss up the sides of this too, just to make it a little more interesting. The moss is on, and like I said, I brought it up around the fence and over the edges of the green wood. And the only other thing left to do is I found a little spot to stick this wire down in where the bow holds the flowers together. I put some hot glue and put this on. This is where this last bumblebee is going to kind of be in flight, but I'm going to take a pencil and wrap the wire around it to make a little spiral wire, and he'll be at the end and it'll be done. I would encourage you, if you have moss that is not, it's like this, falling apart, to put lots of glue, push, be careful not to burn your fingers, but keep pushing through so the glue holds it all down. I think otherwise you're gonna have a lot of missing moss. So I'm gonna go ahead, wrap it around a pencil, stick the bee on, and then we'll see what the final result is, which I think is almost here. So this one is complete now. And I did add some additional bees to it, more so than the first one that I did on my own. I kind of like the little less bees. It's simpler, but that's up to you. So if you liked this project, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget, down below is the link for my tutorial on how to make those cute bees.